There are plenty of compact sports sedans on the market. A lot of people seem to forget that Infiniti is in the game. In this case, with their Q50 sedan, which is what we'll be testing on this video. From the side view, it looks longer than it really is. Nice styling from the rear, and this metallic blue paint looks real nice when it's clean anyway. It does get dirty in a hurry. For those who prefer more luxury over performance, we also drove the Lexus ES350. We'll have a link for that video after this Infiniti test if you want to watch that. The base Q50 has a small 4-cylinder engine putting out just over 200 horsepower. That will start in the low $30,000 bracket. Next up is this V6 twin turbo putting out 300 horsepower. It'll start in the low $40,000 bracket. Fuel economy for this power plant is rated 20 mpg in the city, 29 on the highway with an average of 23 mpg. That is in two-wheel drive. I'm told all-wheel drive will be offered this year. That'll knock it down at least 1 mpg. For the power hungry, there is a 400 horsepower version of this engine. I'm sure it's a real screamer, but the price on that starts in the low $50,000 bracket. And I might add, all of the prices I'm quoting don't include the option list, which of course raises the price even more. In fact, we'll show you the price of this particular vehicle, starting at $44,650. I'm not going to read off the option list. You can see it on your screen. Which brings the total tab just over 50,000 bucks. The Q50 comes with a giant set of LED headlights, and as always, the first thing we're going to do before we hit the road is take these out at night and see how they perform, so we'll do that right now. It's dark enough. Let's take these headlights out and see how they perform. Here we have the low beams on a wall 100 feet away. The light is very bright, but rides a bit low for my taste. Now I put on the high beams. Much, much better. Here we have the high beams on a building 300 feet away. Excellent lights. No problem here. Go down to low beam. Very bright, but doesn't quite reach out, but more than adequate for city driving. The cabin isn't the fanciest on the planet, but the materials and workmanship are above average. I have no complaints. The government rates this as a 5-passenger, 2 in the front, 3 in the second row seating. Of course, as always with a compact car this size, you're only going to fit 2 adults in the second row seating. This is a very nice gauge cluster, very easy to read. And as you can see, for the past 44 miles of heavy city traffic, I've been getting 22.1 mpg. You have a button on the console for drive modes. Snow, Eco, Standard, Sport, Sport Plus, and Personal, which I have not gotten into yet. Maybe later. Some drivers might find these screens a bit on the small side, but they're big enough for me. I'm not complaining. The radio programming is very simple to use. You have an easy-to-reach button for tune, easy-to-reach button for seek. And if you want to save a station, just press it with your finger. It's that simple. Even simpler if you compare it to the complicated systems we get on some of those fancy German cars. Believe it or not, some consumer magazines actually complained about this system. I don't know what they're bitching about. Best one I've ever used. Here we have control knobs and buttons for the navigation, the camera system, other features. Pretty simple to learn if you spend a bit of time with it. My favorite is the 360-degree camera system, which makes parking in those cramped garages very easy. We have lots of room in the glove box, but only because we removed this extra thick owner's manual that very few people are going to read anyway. My advice is to take it out and put it in the trunk, so you'll have more room in here. There is a program that records the fuel economy history. According to this, it maxed out at 25 mpg. We'll be taking this on some freeway trips and see if we can do better. This is a 7-speed automatic transmission, hooked to a rear-wheel drive, not front-wheel drive as some people believe. The good news is, if you like shifting for yourself, this car does come with paddle shifters. The bad news, instead of being mounted on the steering wheel where they can be reached 100% of the time regardless of the wheel position, they're mounted on the steering column, which means they can only be reached when the car is going in a straight line, not when you're taking corners. I know I might get some hate mail reminding me that Ferrari and Lamborghini put their paddle shifters on the steering column too, but to that I'll respond by saying all the German brands, Mercedes, BMW, Audi, all the American brands, and aside from Infiniti and Nissan, all the Japanese brands put them on the steering wheel where they belong. But in this case, it's better than not having any paddle shifters at all, so we'll just cope with it. Okay, enough about the specs. It's time to do some driving, and we'll start by talking about the tires. Many Q50 models come with run-flat tires. The advantage here is if you get a deflated tire, you can drive up to 50 miles to a repair station without having to change a spare. The bad news is the car doesn't come with a spare, so if you're on the freeway more than 50 miles from town, you might have a problem. My advice is to buy a spare tire and put it in the trunk, as well as a jack, if you do a lot of highway trips. The main disadvantage with run-flat tires, aside from the replacement cost, is the stiff sidewalls make for a very noisy ride, and a bit stiff too, as I found on rough pavement driving around town. So we're going to do the speed bump test and see what kind of results we get there. Alright, let's take some bumps at 25 miles per hour. Here comes the first one. Noisy, but I didn't feel too much. Next one. 30 miles per hour. And the big nasty one. The tires were a bit noisy on the speed bumps, but the suspension, the stiff body structure did a great job of absorbing the impacts. Nothing out of the ordinary for a good sports sedan. Getting a good 0 to 60 time off this vehicle is impossible with the traction control on. It's too aggressive. You turn it off, you have better luck. These are nice brakes. With 300 horses under the hood, I was expecting a better time than 5.3 seconds, but I guess if you want to go quicker, you're going to have to order the 400 horsepower version. Still, how fast do you really want to go? I'm told the power steering on this car is electric, but it feels hydraulic to me, which is a good thing. I think the Infiniti engineers did a great job on this. There are a lot of German cars that could learn a lesson from this. Very nice steering, very responsive too. Let's have a little fun on the turning circle, shall we? Basically, the Q50 is a nice highway car, but the rumbling noises I'm getting from these run-flat tires is irritating. These tires really have to go. If you own a Q50, Make sure you replace them with conventional tires when these wear out. Can't complain about the engine passing power. If you watch my videos, you know what's coming up next. Where is he? Freddy the Frog. Time to move on. On steep curved roads like this, the sport mode and paddle shifters come in rather handy. This is our first official highway fuel economy test. 55 miles, averaging around 70 miles per hour. 29.1 mpg. Here's our fuel economy test number 2. A 39-mile trip with the cruise control set at 75 miles per hour. We hit the 30 mpg mark, so it can be done. This blue metallic paint looks nice when it's clean. Unfortunately, it doesn't stay clean long, so I end up spending a lot of time in the car wash. That is something I do not need to see. Oh. I drove this vehicle for a week and only had 2 gripes: the harsh ride and the excess noise on the freeway. Both of these complaints are due to these horrible run-flat tires. Replacing them eventually with conventional tires will resolve the 2 complaints I just mentioned. The bottom line, this is an excellent sports sedan. However, it is priced right up there with the expensive Audi, BMW, Mercedes competition. They're not cheap. But if you're not interested in going with a European brand, and don't see anything interesting on the Lexus lot, the Q50 is definitely worth a look. If you'd like to watch our Lexus ES350 video, which is in the same price range as the Infiniti, here's the link for that.